Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 things you missed in House of the Dragon, Episode 3. For this list, we're looking at Easter eggs, references, and other subtle details that viewers may not have caught in this episode of the HBO prequel series. If you haven't seen the new episode yet, there will be spoilers. Anything else you caught? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. The View from Casterly Rock.
King's Wood. It's a fine hunting ground, but the best sport is to be found at Casterly Rock, near my home. Have you been?
Once. On tour with my mother when I was young. Honestly can't recall much of that either.
With the important Lannisters primarily in King's Landing, we didn't get to see much of Casterly Rock on Game of Thrones. But according to Jason Lannister, its scenic qualities are not to be underestimated.
The rock is thrice the height of the High Tower in Old Town, taller still than the wall in the north. It's been said that if one were to stand in the tower, on a perfect day, one could see clear across the sunset sea.
While trying to woo Princess Rhaenyra, the arrogant Jason tries to use Casterly Rock's features as a way to prop himself up as a potential husband, hauling it higher than the wall, and allowing one to see across the sunset sea. If the latter is true, then perhaps he could tell us what's on the other side, something Arya sets off to find out in the Thrones finale.
What's west of Westeros?
I don't know.
No one knows. It's where all the maps stop. That's where I'm going.
Coincidentally, the finale also shows the other location in the same sequence, as Jon Snow leads the wildlings past the wall. Number 9. The King and the Boar. You wouldn't think it, but boars have proven to be a surprisingly lethal threat in Westeros. As you'll remember, Season 1 of Game of Thrones sees King Robert get fatally wounded by one of the beasts while hunting in the Kingswood, though this was slightly preordained after Cersei had his drink spiked.
My fault. Too much wine. Missed my thrust.
Thankfully, King Viserys doesn't have to contend with the creature, instead getting an easy kill courtesy of a restrained stag. But it is interesting to note that Viserys similarly spends much of his hunting expedition in the Kingswood drunk and vulnerable.
At least the wine was good.
Too good.
We don't know exactly who would have killed him in such a manner, but he should be thankful the boar found its way to Rhaenyra and Criston Cole instead. Number 8. The Realm's Delight.
Shall we discuss the heirs tournament, Your Grace?
I would be delighted.
Rhaenyra Targaryen is already proving to be a standout character, and the people of the Seven Kingdoms would be lucky to have her as a ruler. But we are gratified to learn that she is at least held in some high regard. When Queen Alicent goes to comfort a drunken Viserys by the fire pit, he conflictingly recounts his decision to name Rhaenyra heir, calling her, quote, the Realm's Delight.
I named her to protect the realm from Daemon. She was my only child. The Realm's Delight.
We don't know if this is a common descriptor or just an off-the-cuff remark, but this is often how Rhaenyra is referred to in the books. Of course, Rhaenyra being declared heir at the even younger age of 8 in that version makes even more sense why people would see her as a delight.
Do hereby name Rhaenyra Targaryen, Princess of Dragonstone, and heir to the Iron Throne.
Number 7. The White Book.
Be welcome, Sir Criston.
Though we don't know him too well yet, another character that's displayed a respectable amount of dignity is Sir Criston Cole of the Kingsguard. We'll see where his character goes in future episodes, but so far he's proved worthy of going into the annals of history. After tracking down Rhaenyra in the Kingswood, Sir Criston reminds her of her autonomy by recognizing her appointment of him to the Kingsguard and getting him in the White Book.
One day, not so long ago, you held enough power to write my name into the White Book. And when your father named me to his Kingsguard, it was the highest honor any Cole had ever known. All that I have, I owe to you.
Officially known as the Book of Brothers, the White Book has record of every knight in the service and has appeared a few times on Game of Thrones, most notably when Sir Brienne of Tarth completes the entry on the late Jaime Lannister. Number 6. Grayscale Madness.
Where are you?
Though built up as a formidable enemy, the crab feeder's time on House of the Dragon has already come to a brutal end at the hands of Daemon Targaryen. But that hasn't stopped fans from theorizing on his backstory. Real name Cragus Drahar. The crab feeder definitely is not a looker, even adorning himself with a broken mask. But fans have noticed his damaged skin has features that look a lot like the infamous grayscale.
They were covered with it. Their faces, their arms, they acted like animals.
It might be a moot point now that he's dead and all, but it should be mentioned that grayscale does more than make your skin cracked. It also drives you mad. Indeed, had Drahar's gotten to his brain, it might explain his more violent behavior.
No, please! Ah!
Number 5. Battle of the Bastards parallels. We're only 3 episodes in, and yet House of the Dragon has already given us its first big battle. While Caraxes scorching the crab feeder's troops in the opening scene is glorious, it's the big battle to end the episode we'll be talking about here. No, we're not saying the Battle of the Stepstones is as good as the Battle of the Bastards, Game of Thrones' best according to us, but it does draw from it in certain ways. For starters, Daemon, our ostensible protagonist, runs through a hail of arrows, much like Rickon Stark, before being surrounded by the enemy, as does the Stark army. Both are then saved by a deus ex machina, before Daemon goes after Drahar personally, as did Jon Snow with Ramsay Bolton. Number 4. The Laws of Gods and Men. Unless you know the name of every episode of Game of Thrones, you're liable to miss a few references here and there. Case in point, Sir Otto Hightower's conversation with Alicent.
Does this not please you?
With Alicent reluctant to have her son Aegon usurp Rhaenyra as heir to the Iron Throne, Otto reminds her of Aegon's birthright with a very familiar phrase.
To deny that he is heir to the throne is to assail the laws of gods and men.
Indeed. The Laws of Gods and Men is the title of the 6th episode of Thrones Season 4, which is memorable for seeing Tyrion put on trial for Joffrey's murder.
You admit you poisoned the king?
No. Of that I'm innocent. I'm guilty of a far more monstrous crime. I'm guilty of being a dwarf.
Honestly, we love any reference to that standout episode, but the only further connection we can think of is the House of the Dragon one also featuring the Lannisters, and often not in a becoming light.
Lord Jason Lannister.
Gathered that from all the lions.
Number 3. Jefferson Hall. Speaking of Jason Lannister, you might be thinking to yourself that he and his twin brother Tyland look awfully familiar.
I bring urgent news from the Stepstones. The crab feeder has dug in for siege on Bloodstone while his men sabotage our fleet under the cover of dark.
Not today, Tyler.
Both are played by the actor Jefferson Hall, whom you might recognize for being in the 2018 Halloween movie. However, you'd be forgiven for forgetting that Hall has played a Westerosi character before.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, sir.
No, sir. Not tonight.
I see. Well, it just so happens that I am.
Back in Game of Thrones Season 1, Hall appeared as Sir Hugh of the Vale. He doesn't last long, as he is promptly killed in a joust with Gregor Clegane. Thankfully for Hall, his characters managed to survive their debut episode. And even if they don't last long either, they likely won't have to posthumously deal with false claims of killing the Hand of the King like Sir Hugh did.
Pity what happened to him, just when his life seemed to be going so nicely.
If Sir Hugh poisoned him, who paid Sir Hugh?
Someone who could afford it.
Number 2. Nymeria's Song.
Under the dragon's eye.
Again.
Perhaps the princess might like to hear something else?
She would not. Play it again.
As you may recall, our recap video for the first episode noted the mention of Princess Nymeria, who is reportedly getting a prequel series of her own.
Princess Nymeria led her Rhoynar across the narrow sea on 10,000 ships to flee their Valyrian pursuers. She took Lord Mors Martell of Dawn to husband, and burned her own fleet off Sunspear to show her people that they were finished running.
Well, in another instance of brand synergy, her exploits are brought up once again, this time in song form.
She fled with her ships and her people, her heart broken for those... Your Grace.
As Rhaenyra sits under the weirwood tree, she has her bard Samwell continuously sing about Nymeria and her ships, on repeat, if you will. The lyrics specifically recount Nymeria and the Rhoynar fleeing Essos with her 10,000 ships, something we cannot wait to see in live action. It's also worth noting that both House of the Dragon scenes in which Nymeria is mentioned feature both Rhaenyra and Alicent under the weirwood, almost as a reflection of their lost friendship.
Is it the King's command?
Yes, but
Then at once, Your Grace.
But it needn't be. None of it needs be this way in truth, Rhaenyra.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Viserys' Dragon Dream.
Many in my line have been dragon riders. Very few among us have been dreamers.
The first episode hit us with the bombshell that is Viserys revealing Aegon the Conqueror's prophetic dream, titled The Song of Ice and Fire.
A king or queen, strong enough to unite the realm against the cold and the dark. Aegon called his dream the Song of Ice and Fire.
In this episode, Viserys recounts his own dream, wherein he saw his son ascend the throne.
When Rhaenyra was a child, I saw it in a dream. As vivid as these flames, I saw it. The male babe, born to me, wearing the conqueror's crown.
It remains to be seen if this will come to pass, but these so-called dragon dreams have often led to huge changes. Of course, Aegon's aforementioned dream prompted him to conquer Westeros. Another notable dream came from Daenerys Targaryen, whose seeing of the doom of Valyria prompted the Targaryens to move to Dragonstone. But of course, the dream most will know is Daenerys's, who foresaw her dragons hatching upon being exposed to fire.
How many centuries had it been since dragons roamed the skies? But I dreamt that if I carried those eggs into a great fire, they would hatch.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.